In this video, I'm showing you my entire Marvel Omnibus library. Stay tuned. What's going on, common friends? It's Ryan, the Colossus Collector, and thank you again for stopping by my channel and watching another one of my videos. On today's video, I'm going to take you through my ever-growing Marvel Omnibus collection. When I started getting back into comics, I wanted to start reading the stories, knowing all about these characters, and instead of, buying reader copies and then having, the collector's copies of comics, I thought, why not find a different way of reading them? And I came upon Omnibus format, and I just really love getting these books as soon as I started getting them. I love having them all on my shelf. They look great, but also having them, in a tactile form to read them as they were meant to be read, on paper, printed out. The colors are so vibrant, the pages look amazing, and then on top of it, the books are just really cool to have it and to build a library around. So I started, obviously on X-Men, and I'm still reading through the Uncanny Run. The great thing about the Omnibus format is that they don't only collect the main run, they also pepper in, side mini issues, relevant stories that came out in and around the same time of the main run issues that are collected in each omnibus. So you get a really wider scope of the overall story that's going on with a particular set of characters, a particular title. I really love that. It makes it a little harder to get through a run, but it's really cool to have those connected issues, because if I was just reading it off of Marvel Unlimited on an iPad, you wouldn't necessarily know to read the Wolverine Kitty miniseries, or jump off to New Mutants or any of the other titles within the X-Men mutant world that had real relevance to a particular storyline or to a particular event. So really love these books, and so I'm still, like I said, still reading through Uncanny X-Men, but then I just sort of got the bug to collect them. I just want to build a huge library, so I started picking up other titles with the intention that I'm eventually going to read through them all, and really, just have a huge knowledge and a huge experience with the Marvel universe. So I'm really looking forward to reading more. I got to pick up my speed reading. I honestly forget to read sometimes, and something I got to work on in the future. But I'll take you through what I've read so far. I won't go into any in-depth reviews in this video. I'm just going to kind of show you the books that I got, and then maybe touch up on what I know about them, and then take you through the ones I haven't read, and just kind of explain what I'm collecting, and let you take a look at what I got. So without ado, let's get into it. Alright, so first off, we've got the Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 Omnibus. This is the first book of the Claremont era, coming out of the Silver Age, start of the Bronze Age for the X-Men. This collects Giant Size X-Men, and then into Uncanny X-Men 94, which is of course the first book in the Claremont era, and it goes to Uncanny X-Men number 131, which is right around the start of the Dark Phoenix saga. So this book collects all those early stories of the new era, Claremont era X-Men team, everything from the start of the team, the creation of the team, and into their first foray into the cosmic world with the Shi'ar, and Jean Grey getting the Phoenix, and then it goes into the Dark Phoenix saga towards the end of this book. Love it. Probably my favorite omnibus that I've read so far. Then I got Uncanny X-Men Volume 2. This picks up right at the start of the Dark Phoenix saga with issue 132, and goes until Uncanny X-Men 153, but also includes some of the Phoenix Untold story towards the end there too. And this, of course, also contains the Days of Future Past storyline, and also the arrival of Kitty Pryde. Actually, that is in the first one, but the joining of the team with Kitty Pryde, and just a great continuation of the Uncanny X-Men run. Next up, I've got Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 3, and this collects Uncanny X-Men 154 to 175. This is just an amazing omnibus because it collects the Brood Saga. It collects God Loves, Man Kills, which is an incredible X-Men story. It also collects the first solo Wolverine series by Frank Miller, and it also collects the 4-issue limited run of Magic in her first solo title, Ileana Rasputin, Colossus' little sister, the story of how she gains her dark magic powers, and she sort of becomes a pretty prominent character in the mutant world. Just a really, really cool omnibus, chock full of amazing stories and books. And then Uncanny X-Men Volume 4. This collects Uncanny X-Men 176 up until 193. And this is the final Uncanny X-Men Claremont run book up until Volume 5's coming out. It hasn't released yet. But this book includes the Kitty Pryde Wolverine 6-issue run, which is a really important storyline for the development of both characters, both Wolverine and Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde becomes Shadowcat. So really cool book, and up until right now, May 2023, this is the end of the first 4 main volumes of Uncanny X-Men in omnibus format. So if you're collecting omnibus, there's a little bit of a gap in the Uncanny X-Men run between volume 4 and this next book, Mutant Massacre Omnibus. I had to read those issues over on Marvel Unlimited on my iPad, but it will be put into omnibus format later this year with volume 5. This is the continuation of the Uncanny run, but also mixes in a number of stories and books from X Factor, Daredevil, and Thor, Power Pack. There's a bunch of different tie-in stories that are all part of the Mutant Massacre, which is an ongoing event surrounding a group of mutants called the Marauders that become a real thorn in the side of mutant kind in general, but especially the X-Men in a few of the event omnibuses that I've got coming up here. But really cool storylines in here, and really starts to get pretty serious stakes for the X-Men, and really transforms the X-Men in a lot of ways over the next few omnibuses and events. Just to kind of show you something cool too about this book is the under the dust jacket. There's this really great Wolverine Sabretooth front and back cover, spine art, and it's just really quite an awesome bit of artwork. I really love how they do this on the special event and the newer omnibuses that contain newer comic books. Really cool art on the books themselves. And then Mutant Massacre goes right into X-Men Fall of the Mutants. And again, like Mutant Massacre, this book is, although it's an X-Men titled omnibus, it really contains a lot of stories from not only the Uncanny X-Men, but X Factor, the New Mutants, and then even titles like Incredible Hulk, Power Pack, Daredevil, Captain America. They all had a few issues here and there that tied into the Fall of the Mutants event. Like that one, Under the Dust Jacket, there's some really cool cover art on the front and back. really cool cover here, and then some nice art. This is also where you get introduced to Apocalypse and his Four Horsemen. Really cool storylines in this one. I just recently read this book, and it was really cool to watch, to read those X Factor issues with Apocalypse and the Four Horsemen. And this takes me up to where I'm reading right now, and that is the X-Men Inferno Prologue Omnibus. So this is a thin, smaller omnibus that leads into the Inferno saga, the Inferno storyline that's contained in the next omnibus. So reading through this right now, again, it's very similar to the last two. It's a collection of issues from a number of titles, including Uncanny X-Men, but also X Factor, which becomes just very tied into what's going on with mutants, as it's almost like a second run of X-Men, and also New Mutants, and a few other titles in here as well. I'll show you the art under the dust jacket. So really cool. Love this Colossus cover, and then a cool Cyclops versus Thor on the back cover. Just love this artwork that they put on the inside of the covers and back covers. So like I said, that's everything I'm reading or have read up to this point, and now it's just getting into everything I need to read still, but I've collected and got ready for me to get into. So first up, like I was saying before, this is the X-Men Inferno Saga Omnibus. It's quite a big boy. Again, this collects a number of X-Men, X Factor, some Power Pack, New Mutants, even some Fantastic Four and Avengers. There's just a lot of titles that tied in to this Inferno Saga, and just really looking forward to getting through this one. But yeah, it's a thick one. It's gonna take me a while to get through. I'll just show you what the under part looks like. It's just this fire with X-Men Inferno. So not quite as fancy as some of the previous books, but looking forward to getting into that one. All right. So the next omnibus is just titled X-Men, and this is the beginning. It's the continuation of the Uncanny X-Men run, but this leads into the Jim Lee collaboration with Chris Claremont era, and picks up after the X-Men Inferno saga. And yeah, so this is where we first see Jim Lee's artwork come into the X-Men world, and one of my favorite artists on X-Men ever, and really can't wait to dive into this one. I've heard this one's a little bit slower than the next one coming up, which I'm really looking forward to reading. But of course, this is part of the X-Men run, so really looking forward to finishing this. All right, next up is X-Men Volume 1, and this is where you see the end of the original X Factor team, who rejoin the X-Men, and then you see a split of the titles. You have Uncanny X-Men continuing on in the same numbers and issue count all the way from the original X-Men, but then you see the new adjectiveless X-Men run by Jim Lee start with X-Men #1, which was the highest selling comic book of all time, and that continues all the way to issue 11, which was Jim Lee's final issue on X-Men before he left the title. So this is a really cool book that I'm looking forward to getting into. And I didn't start here mainly because I haven't read them yet, but this is the X-Men Omnibus Volume 1, and this collects X-Men number 1, the very first issue of X-Men, all the way up to issue 31, all Silver Age. This is the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby era, and all the original stories. I didn't start here. I wanted to get right into Uncanny Claremont era, but I will eventually get to these. I'm collecting, of course, X-Men 1 to 300, so I'm definitely going to have to read these as well. But I think I'm going to do that after I get through the Jim Lee era books. And then, of course, the X-Men has a volume 2, and this collects X-Men number 32 up until the original Silver Age era finished at number 66 before the reprints began. And then it also collects a couple Kazar books right at the end there too. So another one I'm looking forward to reading. I mean, I'm looking forward to reading everything, so I'll try to stop saying that. Way more to go, but I'm just going to kind of rip through these. They are all books that I have to read still. This is X-Men, the Age of Apocalypse Companion. This is, of course, stories that come out of the Age of Apocalypse storyline. I don't have the Age of Apocalypse yet. It's out of print. And don't want to pay an exorbitant amount of money, so hopefully it'll get reprinted. But if I eventually get to the point where I need to read it, I will have to maybe bite the bullet, or I'll have to read it on iPad and then read this one after. So that is the Age of Apocalypse Companion Omnibus. Then I've got X-Men Avengers Onslaught. I've heard mixed reviews about this storyline, but still picked up the omnibus. Looking forward to maybe finding out whether or not the rumors or the stories are true. I've heard a lot of cool things about the storyline of House of M, and so I picked up the House of M omnibus as well. Definitely a storyline that has impacted the mutant world. I've heard lots of different things. Obviously, most people know about No More Mutants, so that'll be kind of cool to read. So that ends my X-Men books. Next one is Wolverine Volume 2. I don't have Volume 1, it's out of print, so I picked this up just to get it in, before it goes out of print. And then I gotta still pick up Volume 3, and then hopefully Volume 1 will come out eventually, and I can get that one too. Some of the books that I'm buying, I'm more just panic buying because I don't want them to go out of print, and then when I'm actually ready to read them, that I can't get them. So some of these are just I just got them to put on my shelf so that I have them when I'm ready to get at them. Next up is Fantastic Four, John Byrne Years, Volume 1. I really kind of want to get all the staple Marvel titles in omnibus format. I know this isn't the start of Fantastic Four, but I've heard this is one of the best early runs of stories and a good spot to jump into the Fantastic Four. So I grabbed this and probably will read this before I get into the Silver Age stuff, but definitely want to get those in omnibus format. One of my other favorite characters is Venom, so definitely had to get this Spider-Man versus Venom omnibus. It's got the whole storyline of Peter Parker getting the black suit and then it turning to Venom when it gets to Eddie Brock, and yeah, it just kind of follows Spider-Man's early storylines with Venom. Really excited to read this one, and I will show you the dust, or the cover under the dust jacket on this one. I mean, so killer. Epic Venom and Carnage versus Spider-Man cover, probably one of the best back cover combos in all the omnibus that I have that I've seen. Next, I've got the Venom Omnibus, Volume 1. Definitely going to get all the volumes of the Venom Omnibus, and this just kind of continues the Venom story. There are some crossovers between this and the Spider-Man versus Venom, but definitely just want to have kind of a good early Venom collection within my library of omnibus. Few more to go. This one is Avengers Volume 3. This is collecting the Silver Age of Avengers. Kind of, again, just one of those ones that I picked up so I have it eventually when I'm ready to read it, and didn't want it to go out of print. I'm pretty sure Volume 1 and 2 are coming back into print, so I'm going to grab those, and it'll be nice to have the whole Avengers run in silver into bronze. Same story with this. This is Thor Volume 1. Grabbed it. Eventually going to get to it. Just need to pick up all the volumes while they're in print, and going to read them eventually. I've heard amazing things about this. Annihilation. Such a cool story from what I've heard of. It's like one of the best cosmic stories that bring in so many characters that, you know, are big in the MCU. You know, Thanos, the Guardians, all the Guardians, Drax and whatnot, and Silver Surfer, and then even villains like Ronan the Accuser. And I'm just really stoked to read this. I've been tempted to break out of X-Men and read this, but I'm just so determined to get through X-Men that this has been kind of waiting for me to read. But I don't know, maybe soon I might have to just bust this open and start going at it. And these last two are brand new. They just came out. This is the Nova Omnibus. I know Nova's coming and in the MCU, and I've just been thinking it'd be cool to kind of get to know the character. Seems really cool. I love cosmic. I think that's going to be such a cool place for the MCU to go in the future, and to know more about the backstories and the stories of some of the main key cosmic characters. I think would be really cool. So I grabbed Nova. Yeah, and finally, this is a brand new one. This literally just came out too at the start of April. The Adam Warlock Omnibus, and just really pumped to read this one as well. I know I keep saying that, but he, you know, seeing him in the MCU, I've heard that, you know, he wasn't done justice. So I wanna read this. As you know, I'm putting together this run in comics as well. So it would be cool to obviously have read all the books now that I'm collecting them. So looking forward to this one. This one might be one that I might have to sneak into in between some of the X-Men books that I'm trying to get through, but we'll see how it goes. So that's all the Marvel Omnibus in my collection so far. The library's growing. Definitely got an itch to get more into it. Got to complete these storylines, these runs, and just have them at my fingertips when I need to read them. I know I didn't go into too much depth in this video, but in the future, as I read them, I'll probably do some review videos, take you through them with a little bit more detail, and tell you what I thought of them. So stay tuned for those videos. And just before we end this, I'd like to ask, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do so. It would mean the world to me. It helps the channel grow and take it to where we want it to go. Please also like and comment on this video. Would love to engage with you, hear about Omnibus that you have, that you like, that you've read. Let's chat in the comments. And until the next video, keep collecting.